Hello and welcome. Yo, what's good? In this video you will take a deep dive into my Ableton template. So the story goes like this. I started creating this template a few years ago when I wanted to speed up my workflow, but still keeping this as simple and useful for bass music as possible. Let's go into the Ableton. Without further ado, let's begin. And also, we will be going downwards during this whole video. This group, called Main, is a group where I put all of my drop sounds, except the drums. So, mostly the basses. That's why I have a sub-bass preset laid down here. So it's just an easy, ready-to-go sub. It works for me, it is simple, and most importantly, it is really versatile. Next, we have a raw bass audio channel, and this is just a raw audio channel without any effects. I created this channel just because I oftentimes want to throw a sound with a low end in the drop without any effects. Like for example, from my sample pack, I'm just throwing a bass right here without any effects. So this is the purpose of this channel. Later, we have a Midbass subgroup, and this is important and interesting, I think. This Midbass subgroup is here because I like to clip all of my non-sub-bass sounds. So every sound that does not contain a sub-bass, I like to clip together to make a room for the sub-bass, to make the sub-bass really stable. Because when you are clipping a sound that has no low end, basically, the clipping will not be as harsh and as with the sub bass. So I like to clip my high-end sounds here. I will throw a quick example here for you guys so I can show you why this works and why it is here. Here it is, and it sounds like shit. It's so fucking bad. The goal here with this group is, let's suppose that we have no low end in this sound. So I'm just making sure, like, I know we have a lot of low end here, but let's suppose that we don't. So I cut the low end, and then I am clipping these two sounds together. Oh fuck my ears. Alright, I'm good. So I'm clipping these two sounds together. And after the saturation, I'm cleaning the low end once again with a linear phase EQ. I talked about this in my ultimate tutorial up here or up here. I'm not really sure. Let's put a heavy limiter on the group with both the mid bass and the sub to see how it's going together. I will use FabFilter Pro L because it is really visual and it's easy to see what I mean. So if you are watching this on your phone, you can probably not tell a big difference, but you will see what I am talking about. So with the clipper on, just look at the levels, right? It is really blocky. Imagine this like that the red reduction is the reduction of the sub pretty much. Just focus on this right now. And as you can see, the reduction is rather smooth. It is rather constant, which is great because it means that our sub is powerful and stable. But as soon as I disable this clip, you can see and even hear how the sub is getting ducked by these transients. And with the clipper, the transients are not getting that much quieter. They still sound powerful and I would say even more glued together, which makes the whole group sound better if it's possible with these sounds to sound any good. The difference is pretty obvious, and this routing in this template allows you for a lot of transient power, but with keeping your sub bass also really heavy and powerful. Let's go to the next channel called Sidechain, and this is the audio channel of the sidechain because below I have a sidechain trigger, which is a MIDI channel, and let's test it out. So let's create any MIDI trigger like this. Great, It is sidechaining, wow. And this is really quick and also easy. And I did this because I'm using a Shaperbox in almost all of my productions. It takes some time to set up and get everything working perfectly. So this is why in this template I have this setup ready to go. Even with this basic first shape and all of the routing work done. So I can just start working on my idea super quickly, and it's really beneficial for your creative flow. Below we have a drums group, which is a drums group for the drop with a clipper on it, also to make the transient hit hard but not overwhelm the rest of the track. Pretty much like mastering in the mix, it makes the whole mix like and in this drums group, I have a drum rack, which I'm using often, pretty much all the time, where I can just throw some kicks in here, right? And then test out what kick works the best for the track, super quick and easy. Below we have a kick audio channel, the same goes for the snare and the same goes for all these cymbals. So the hats, crashes and rides, and this whole cymbals group have a sidechain compressor on it, so you can quickly sidechain your crash to your kick, for example, right? And below we have a vocals group that does not go to the sidechain because I oftentimes, like my vocals, do not have any sidechain on it. It makes the vocals go up in front and have that more natural and powerful sound when everything in the track is being sidechained, is being dug, and your vocal is sitting there up in front all the time. Super stable, good thing. Sometimes when I want my vocals to have a sidechain on it, I'm just putting my vocals in another group, like for example the main group or intro group. It depends on the context, but I found this the most convenient to use. And below we have an intro drums, which is basically just the drums group, but for the intro, so it's not that huge because I'm not going for the super rich drums in the intro. That's why I have only two channels here, and one of them is a drum rack where I can just throw everything, and it is my number one favorite thing to lay down your drums in Ableton is to use the drum rack. But I also have an audio channel if I want to do, for example, some warping on any drum sample. And below we have an intro group, which is just similar to main, but for the intro. It also goes to the sidechain channel, and it has one MIDI channel and one audio channel ready to go. And the Buildup group is more interesting because it has a glue compressor on it. And why it has a glue compressor on it, I'm telling you why. Let's take, for example, let's make a quick and shitty build-up. Let's up the tempo to make this more amazing. And let's throw a sweep up from my sample pack that is available on my Patreon. You can take, for example, a sweep down and make it a sweep up if you reverse this, so you have a more unique sample. What we can do about this is to use a glue compressor and dialing up just a one knob threshold. Let's make the sweep up quieter by, I don't know, maybe 5 decibels and lower down the threshold. And you can hear that build-up compression going here. And I think it really glues the build-up together. It makes that pumping effect on the build-up really easy to set up and takes just a few seconds. Last but not least, we have an effects group, which is a group with an EQ that cuts the low end. And this is because I'm using, let's take for example any sweep up from my pack, and let's say that this sweep up has some low end going on here. And let's say you have a really cool sweep up that you want to use, but it has some low end like this. And it sounds really good, but it is too heavy for a drop and you don't want to muddy up your sounds. You can easily just throw an individual EQ on every and single sweep up. But what you can also do in this template is to throw a sweep up into this group, and this will cut the low end automatically, which is a big time saver. Let's take a listen.